Okay, imagine this for a second. You've got a full-time professional, college-educated, making a decent salary, around $54,000 a year.
Right. Sounds pretty normal.
And she just bought a two-bedroom condo.
Right.
For cash. In central Massachusetts.
Okay, got it. Stable adult life.
Now, picture that same person at the same time walking the halls of 3 different Boston high schools, sitting in class, doing homework.
Whoa, wait, as a student?
As a teenager.
Yeah.
Claiming to be a traumatized, vulnerable kid in the foster care system.
That's the story we're digging into today, isn't it? Shelby Hewitt.
Exactly. We're doing a deep dive into Shelby Hewitt, who isn't just, playing dress-up. She built this incredibly detailed, multi-layered fake identity, all while holding down her real job.
And her real job was as a social worker for the Department of Children and Families, DCF. Which is just, wow, the irony there.
It's staggering.
Yeah.
So our sources give us this really chilling look at what the prosecutors are calling an intricate false narrative.
Yeah, and our mission here is to trace how this all happened. How did an adult, a professional, actually infiltrate the school system for, over a year?
Right. And how did she use her insider knowledge? And then the big question, the why. Why risk absolutely everything?
Okay, so where do we start? The foundation of it all must be that job, right? Her DCF connection.
Absolutely. That seems to be the key. Hewitt, who was 32 then, she's 34 now, she worked for DCF from 2016 right up until early 2023.
So she knew the system inside and out. The protocols, the paperwork, how kids, especially vulnerable kids, get placed and enrolled.
Exactly. She wasn't just guessing. She had the playbook.
And she used it. Creating fake names, fake birthdays. She apparently even used these fake identities to get into places like the Walden Behavioral Treatment Center as a supposed child patient first.
Which is disturbing on its own level, but then it escalates, right, from just pretending to actual, felony-level forgery.
Yeah, because she didn't just say she was a foster child. She allegedly created fake DCF workers to back up her story.
How did she even do that? Phone calls?
Get this, it was mostly electronic. Posing as these non-existent DCF staff members in emails.
Okay, that's bold.
Bolder than that. To make the emails look legit, prosecutors say she actually bought a fake internet domain.
She bought a domain, like a website address.
Yeah, at massstate.us. Think about it. The real Massachusetts state email is at state.ma.us. It's so close.
Wow. That's premeditated. It's not just slipping through a crack. That's building your own crowbar to pry the door open.
Exactly. Calculated. Yeah. A government employee using her knowledge to mimic and undermine the very agency she worked for. It's kind of a masterclass in exploiting a system.
Okay, so she's got these fake credentials, these fake social workers vouching for her electronically. What's next? She hits the schools.
She starts her journey through Boston Public Schools in the 2022-2023 school year. First stop, fall 2022. Jeremiah E. Burke High School in Dorchester.
And who is she there?
She's Daniela Blake Herrera, claiming to be 16. Then she transfers to Brighton High School. And by June 2023, she lands at English High School in Jamaica Plain.
Different name this time.
Yep. Now she's Ellie Blake. And sometimes apparently claiming she was as young as 13.
13, when she's actually in her early 30s. And still working.
Still working her DCF job, earning that $54,000 salary, managing her condo finances, presumably keeping up with old college friends.
While sitting in 9th grade English, or whatever classes she was taking.
Allegedly, yes. Getting special education services, doing homework, the mental gymnastics required for that. It's kind of mind-boggling.
And reports mention she even had braces.
Yeah.
Fully committing to the teenage look.
Yeah, the commitment level is extreme, maintaining not just the paperwork lie, but the physical persona, the day-to-day reality of being in high school while being a 30-something homeowner.
Which brings us to, I guess, the emotional side of this whole act. How did she actually pull it off in the school?
Well, she built this very specific narrative. She wasn't just any kid. She was, according to the persona, an extremely traumatized child with significant special educational and emotional needs.
Always a foster child.
Almost always, yeah. The story was usually that she was new to the foster system, needed a fresh start, implying a really rough background.
And you can see how teachers and staff would want to support a child like that, maybe not pry too much.
Exactly. And it seemed to work on her classmates, too. There's the story from a student at Burke High, Janelle, who was 16. She actually became friends with Daniela.
What did Janelle notice?
She said Hewitt often looked like she was about to cry or had been crying, and her stories about her family kept changing. Like one day her parents were dead, the next day her dad was in jail.
But the kids didn't push her on it.
No. According to the sources, they figured she was just genuinely traumatized, being a foster kid and all, so they backed off. That story acted like a shield.
Hmm. But she needed more than just a sad story, right? Like, where was she living? Who was signing her permission slips?
Okay, this is another huge piece. She eventually moved in with a couple in Jamaica, plain Rebecca Burnett and John Smith.
And she called them her foster parents.
She did, and this connection is, well, it's intense. Hewitt apparently met Burnett when she was posing as a child patient under a fake name at that Walden Behavioral Treatment Center. Burnett oversaw residential programs there.
Wait, so she potentially targeted someone she met while already deep in another layer of deception.
It certainly looks that way.
Yeah.
And this couple, Burnett and Smith, they really seemed to embrace the role. They went to her school basketball games, they attended her special education team meetings.
Acting as her guardians within the school system.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. DCF confirmed later that this couple never went through the official state foster care certification process.
So it was all unofficial, just Hewitt convincing them and then them convincing the school. Leveraging her knowledge of how the system should work, maybe.
It seems like it. She created this bubble of legitimacy around herself, fake DCF emails, a seemingly stable, supportive foster home. It was quite the setup.
Almost foolproof, but obviously it wasn't. It had to unravel eventually. How did it all come crashing down?
It happened in June 2023, right after she enrolled at English High School as Ellie Blake.
What triggered it?
A man showed up at the school claiming to be her father. He wanted to withdraw her immediately, saying she was being bullied really badly.
That sounds abrupt,
Yeah.
especially for a new student.
Exactly what school officials thought. It just felt off. So they decided to double-check her enrollment documents.
And that's when they found the problems.
Yep. Once they looked closely, things didn't add up. The DCF letterhead on some documents was apparently wrong, and the name of the social worker listed didn't exist.
Oof. Red flags everywhere.
Big ones.
Yeah.
So Boston Public Schools did the right thing. They alerted the police immediately.
And the investigation leads to charges. What exactly is she facing?
It's serious stuff. 5 felony counts of forgery, identity fraud, larceny over $1,200. That's for the value of the educational services she took.
Right, because those services aren't free. The taxpayers fund them.
Precisely. And also charges for violating public employee standards of conduct because of her DCF job.
So the case moves forward. But then I read things kind of stalled out recently. Like plea deal talks broke down.
They did, yeah. Just this past July, 2025, they were apparently discussing things like probation, mandatory mental health treatment, paying back the school system.
Sounds like progress. So what was the hang-up?
It came down to a really specific legal point. The difference between a continuance without a finding a CWOF and a guilty finding.
Okay, explain that. What's the difference for her?
So the defense insisted on a CWOF. Basically, with a CWOF, you might admit the facts are true, but the court doesn't formally convict you. If you stay out of trouble for a while, the charges get dismissed. No permanent criminal record.
I see. And the prosecution?
They said absolutely not. They demanded a guilty finding, a formal conviction that stays on her record permanently.
Why were they so adamant?
Their argument was likely the scale of the fraud, the premeditation, the fact that she, as a social worker, exploited systems meant to protect kids. They probably felt accountability required that formal conviction.
And neither side would compromise.
Nope. Complete impasse. So the plea deal fell apart, and now she's headed for a full jury trial, scheduled for February 2026.
Which brings us back to that central question we started with. Why? We've traced the how and the what, but why go through all this?
And the sources give us 2 really different angles on that, don't they?
Yeah. On one hand, you've got the prosecution's perspective. They see it as calculated, criminal, that intricate false narrative, the fake domain, using her job skills. It points to someone deliberately gaming the system.
Maybe for free room and board, free education services. The motive isn't totally clear from that angle, but the intent seems criminal.
But then, the defense paints a very different picture, focusing heavily on mental health.
Right. Her attorney talks about a long-standing, lifelong, well-documented history of serious mental health issues. They've specifically mentioned dissociative identity disorder, DID.
Formerly known as multiple personality disorder.
Exactly. So the argument there is that creating Daniela, or Ellie, wasn't just a con, it was part of this disorder. A manifestation of her illness, maybe driven by a need to escape her adult life or find connection.
And didn't she say something like that herself? To the police?
Allegedly, yes. After her arrest, when asked why she did it, she reportedly said she just wanted a family.
Which makes you look at that relationship with the couple, Burnett and Smith, differently. Was that the goal? Attending basketball games, having people act as guardians?
It's possible. Or was the high school identity just the tool she knew best, as a former social worker, to access that kind of support structure, shelter, whatever she was seeking?
It's complicated because the couple she lived with, they claim they were victims too, totally deceived.
Right. But then you have officials like Mayor Michelle Wu pointing out that, regardless of motive, Hewitt seemed to use her professional knowledge of safety protocols to bypass safeguards.
So, even if mental illness was a factor, the method was incredibly sophisticated and exploited vulnerabilities in the system.
Yeah, the two ideas, serious mental health challenges and calculated deception, they aren't necessarily mutually exclusive here. The illness might have provided the why, but her job provided the how.
It's just the sheer scale of it. Over a year, living a double life so completely, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It really is. It makes you think about identity and how far someone might go to escape their reality or maybe find a new one,
Yeah.
even at immense personal risk.
And the story isn't quite finished. There was that intriguing comment she made to the Boston Globe after the plea deal collapsed.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Her lawyer wouldn't let her talk specifics, obviously, but she said there's a reason for everything she did, and that the truth will come out in time.
Leaving the door open for another layer to this whole thing.
Exactly. So that's kind of the thought we want to leave you, the listener, with. Considering everything, the deception, the alleged mental health issues, the potential motives, what truth, if any, do you think Shelby Hewitt might still be holding back about her time as a high school imposter?
It's a complex case with clearly more chapters potentially still to come. We'll have to wait and see what happens at trial.